Welcome everybody out there in your homes all over Australia and the world. In fact, it's been really nice to see where you're landing from right across the world and Australia here. Hello, Hong Kong. Hello, Sydney. Hello, Adelaide, I saw, and I'm from sunny Melbourne. So we're having a great old time. It's so good to have your company this evening. My name is Jacinta Parsons. I'm going to be your MC this evening for this very exciting virtual live crowdfunding event in support of Habitat for Humanity. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognising their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So for those joining us from around the world, we extend that recognition and respect to the traditional owners of the land on which you are joining us from tonight. Since this is a virtual format, you know what, it can be a little unpredictable. Luckily, I'm not on mute. That's a step one. We've all learned how to turn ourselves off mute in the past little while. But please be patient and laugh along with us if things don't go quite as smoothly as we hope. Tonight's event is powered by the Funding Network, which is an Australian-based non-profit that brings people together for good. And we are so thrilled to be supporting Habitat for Humanity to raise much needed funds for their critical work. So we've got a fast-packed program planned for you. To get us started, I'd like to invite Nicole Stanmore, CEO of Habitat for Humanity Australia, to say a few words this evening.
Thanks so much, Jacinta. As Jacinta said, I have the privilege of being the CEO for Habitat Humanity Australia. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself today. I grew up in Chile, a developing country where unfortunately there's still a lot of poverty. As a 10-year-old, I remember driving along the streets of Santiago and seeing the shanty towns, houses that were built of cardboard with tin roofs. And I remember thinking, there must be a girl there that's my age. How does she keep warm at night? How does she study if she has no electricity? Where does she go to the bathroom? So fast forward a number of years, and here I am working for Habitat for Humanity, where we believe that everybody deserves a place to call home. And I feel so privileged to be in a position to help people living in those shanty towns. And today, by joining us today at our event, you can also help. Habitat for Humanity started in the 1970s, and so far we've been able to help 29 million people. We work across 70 countries, and in Australia, we have built more than 160 homes and helped thousands of people through the work we do repairing and fixing and painting transitional accommodation. But coronavirus has hit us hard. It's turned the whole world upside down, and it's no different for us. We rely heavily on our volunteers that go overseas to build houses. And of course, now we can't do that. And the virus has affected our beneficiaries because a home is needed more than ever. We know that a home is the only medicine and vaccine that we have against this virus. So we're so grateful that you're joining us today. Today you will hear about 3 programs, 2 in Australia and 1 of our programs overseas. And when you think about supporting these programs, please remember that it's not just that you put a roof over somebody's head, but you're actually giving somebody a new life opportunity. It will be absolutely life-changing for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole. Now let's get to it. I did see in the chat little section there that people were asking whether they could have a coffee. Yes, you can have a coffee. Then someone suggested an espresso martini. Well, maybe. I poured myself a little glass of champagne this evening because it's such a celebration for us all to be together in the way we are this evening. And I really look forward to what we can achieve tonight. Let's get to it. As Nicole shared, you'll be hearing from 3 amazing Habitat for Humanity team members who will be telling you about the programs that they're involved with. They will then ask you for your support. Each presenter will have 5 minutes to tell their story, and then they'll answer your questions. You can see on the screen that there is a place to ask questions and to vote for the best ones. So get involved. You can see kind of, well, do I point that way? Ask a question and then you can actually give some votes. So it's a great opportunity to interact tonight. Now, after we've heard from all 3 presenters, we're going to facilitate live pledging through the chat room. So I'm going to do my best to keep up. So where you're saying wonderful and brilliant things to Nicole, that is where you will end up doing your pledges. I'm going to do my best to call out all your pledges as they appear. And again, I'm going to give you more instructions when we get to that part of the program. So let us meet our first presenter, who is going to tell us about a program out of Nepal where some castes and ethnic groups are marginalised and vulnerable, leading to problems with land and home ownership. Please welcome Selena Chan to tell us more.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Selena, and I would like to read some recent headlines to you. 27-year-old man beaten and body thrown into river for wanting to marry whom he chooses. People in quarantine denied hot water and food. Worshippers brutalised by temple mob receive fatal bashing in police custody. How would you feel if you read this in your local newspaper or in the Morning Herald or the Daily Telegraph? I think all of us here tonight would be appalled by this, because everyone here believes that every person, regardless of race, colour, gender or religion, should have a basic level of rights. Sadly, these headlines were taken from newspapers in Nepal and relate to stories about Dalit people. Caste-based discrimination, unfortunately, persists in Nepal, even though it was outlawed in the 1960s. Dalits are considered so impure that they are denied access to the same water sources as so-called higher castes. They are denied jobs and they are denied decent education. They are denied health services and places to rent, as their very presence may pollute those of other castes. For centuries, the Dalits, these untouchable castes, have suffered inhumane oppression and denied basic rights just because of an outdated hierarchical social structure that places them below the worth of livestock. There are about 3.6 million Dalits in Nepal. These people are born into absolute destitution with little hope. These people are not just homeless, but they are lepers. For a Dalit woman, her prospects are bleaker. On top of these very unfortunate caste discrimination she has to endure, patriarchal practices means that she has very little decision-making authority and limited prospects of inheritance. But as part of land security, we are ensuring women are joint landowners and have equal property rights so that she may have agency and decision-making powers with her family. Your gift can usher a new era of change for the Dalits. You are giving more than just house and land. You are bestowing safety, security, and dignity to people who have never had any. For the first time in their lives, they are given a voice and a choice. It doesn't take much to give a family a decent home. A lockable door so that few possessions they own are safe from theft, a toilet so they don't have to use the bushes, a roof that doesn't leak, solid walls so that snakes and rats can't enter the house. But probably the most powerful thing you can give these people is the very land and house that their house will sit on. Imagine holding a land title with your name on it, knowing that no one has the right to push you off or evict you. Imagine the pride you will feel knowing you are likely the first person in your family, including all your forefathers, to be a landowner. Imagine it only takes $4,600 to change a Dalit's family's life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, actually, Selena. Lots of lovely comments coming through the chat for that presentation. We really appreciate that this evening. Now let's get to some questions. As you can see, there's an ask a question area on our page here down the bottom. You can pop a question in there and I can present it to Selena. But I would actually like to know, before we get a question there, you mentioned that discriminating people this way was outlawed in the 1950s. Why has nothing changed?
You know, there is change happening, but they tend to be happening in the urban areas where the population tends to be more educated and they have access to information. A lot of the communities we are working with are actually living in the rural areas, and these communities tend to be illiterate, and because of their isolated existence, it actually takes someone to actually bring this information to their community before they're actually aware of it.
There is a question here from Lou saying, did I see that the Nepal government was matching donations?
Absolutely. The government, we have this wonderful relationship with the government there where we are actually able to leverage $3 for every $1 we put in, a minimum of $3. So thereby actually quadrupling the money or the contribution that you actually give us.
Brilliant. A question here as well from Jerome says, do you find that people hold on to their land and housing, or do they sell up and use the capital after a few years?
You know, this land is so precious to them that it's the only collateral that they actually have. What we're actually hoping to see is that people are basically living, thriving in these kind of environments, and basically as time progresses, they actually start to get access to financial products so that they can actually loan. Right now, they're in a situation where they don't even meet any criteria so that any financial institution can even lend any money for them. So they're really the most impoverished and most vulnerable groups of people that we actually work with.
It's wonderful to hear your presentation this afternoon, this evening for some people around the world. And as I said, you have to check the chat box because lots of people have been so excited to see you and appreciate the presentation and the work that you do, Selena. Thank you so much. And I look forward to what will be a wonderful evening.
Thank you all so much for contributing.
It's great. Selena there. We'll be back talking about that project in a moment. But now for our second program. Habitat for Humanity has been on the ground providing recovery services to people affected by the devastating bushfires that swept across our country last December and earlier this year. Tom Alexander from the Disaster Recovery Team is here to tell us more. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight, as you tune in, you're fortunate enough to be in the comfort of your own home. So I need you to imagine that you aren't there. Close your eyes if you help. Don't worry, I can't see you. But for the next few minutes, I'd like you to imagine that you're in a very different place. Picture this. After weeks of tension, you've had to evacuate your home in a matter of minutes, as the fires that were once distant are now suddenly on your doorstep. After sleepless days living in a tent, you're told you can finally return to your home to see what remains. Thoughts of hope and dread have lived inside your mind. You've heard the horror stories of people losing everything, but you're hoping that's not you. So as you finally drive up to the once familiar, now strange roads, you notice that some of those trees seem untouched. You cling to hope as you turn the last bend and roll slowly to where you think your driveway connected to the road. You peer through your window, but it's all gone. Nothing is left. Even the letterbox hangs melted. There is nothing. No house, no garage, the picnic table and the swings have gone. All that remains is the big brickwork of your fireplace poking through the rubble. Remnants of memories that you shared with your family. The land is grey and dead. the silence deafening. What are you going to do? What would you do? Start all again? But how? How could you rebuild an entire life from ash? I'm the program and volunteer coordinator for Habitat's New South Wales Bushfire program. The example I gave is not a unique one. It is the reality of many residents I work with. The Greens, a retired couple, trying to live out their retirement in peace and quiet, who lost everything. The Teskers, a family of 3 young kids whose business was also destroyed in the flames. The Volkic family, who had just bought their house in November last year. A young family with 2 children under 3, hoping to establish a cabinet-making business out the back. No matter how much planning went into their defence, the power of the fires left them powerless. The 2019 New South Wales fires left 2,439 homes destroyed. Tragically, 34 people lost their lives. 6.7 of the entire state was left decimated. Even those homes that were saved, every day they wake up to a landscape that is completely different, forever altered. Vast gum trees left dead by the intensity of the heat. Garages and outbuildings destroyed. Gardens nurtured over decades, baked black. Charred skeletons as far as the eye can see. But their life didn't stop. It doesn't stop. All of these residents still had to go to work, take their kids to school, organise bills, wash their clothes, buy groceries, pay their bills, live day to day. Many only with the possessions they could carry on that fateful day. Life didn't stop, but the workload grows and grows. Every day, they still live with the lasting physical, financial, emotional, and mental impact of those fires. And in too many cases, these are compounded by illness, disability, age, financial insecurity, all made worse by the impact of COVID-19. Jobs lost, friends unable to visit, support halted. Ever since COVID restrictions have allowed, however, Habitat have been working with local aid groups in the 2 of the hardest hit areas of New South Wales, the Blue Mountains and the Southern Highlands, to bring in teams of our generous volunteers to help with this enormous scale of the work on the shoulders of these residents. These volunteers days complete work that would otherwise take residents months to complete on their own. That is, if they had the time or the ability or the resources to complete the work. Habitat is also providing several transitional houses to help people whose lives were shattered when their homes were destroyed last December. They want to get back on their land. They love their land. For many, 9 months later, this is still the first step of recovery. We are offering hope. Hope that their land may be able to recover, that there is a path through this immense work, that insurmountable tasks alone can be completed with the help of volunteer groups together, showing them that they have not been forgotten. They are seen. Step by step, there is a future on their land. During one recent volunteer day, one resident tearfully told me, Habitat has cut short what would have taken us months. Seeing so many people coming to help has really made me feel special. But there's still just so much work to do. And there is. But with your help, Habitat can continue to do this work. As little as $300 helps build a chook shed, a retaining wall, a dog or a cat run, a front fence or a woodshed. $700 supports volunteer work that would otherwise take the residents months to complete alone. $1,200 turns one of those demountable houses into a home, paints inside, builds steps, pathways, veggie gardens and plant beds, a place for food, flowers, a better place to live. The news cycle may have moved on, focusing on the next disaster around the world. The attention is no longer on this plight of the Australians that were affected by the devastating bushfires at the start of this year and the end of last. But their problems haven't miraculously disappeared. These problems still exist, and the work grows and grows, and they still need our help. With your support tonight, we can help people like the Greens, the Teskers and the Volkic family work today for a better tomorrow. The work Habitat does gives them hope and a much needed hand up. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Tom. Again, so many beautiful messages coming through for you this evening. Just appreciation and connection to such an important story that we need to reconnect with. Now for some questions. You can type your questions into that Ask a Question section, or you can just vote for the ones that have already been posted that you really like. Can I ask you a question, Tom?
Please.
I want to know how great that need is. How many people are still waiting to be helped?
The number is hard to pinpoint, but this program is growing. Despite it being 9 months later, we're still accessing people that have yet to receive help. COVID really put a spanner in the works as far as assistance and support services. So the need is huge. So this program is really vital.
A question here from Jerome. Good question, asker Jerome. He wants to know, do you work just in New South Wales?
This program is based in New South Wales, but there are other bushfire programs around Australia.
Great. A question here too. I want to know the family that you spoke about in that first story that you told us. How are they going now?
Well, that first story, it's an amalgamation of multiple stories I've heard. In fact, that story could be put to, off the top of my head, maybe 4 separate people, and their story is the same. Many of these people, it was Christmas Eve, they got pushed out of their house. They fled. And sometimes the fires were burning the house as they were leaving. So it's tragic, but the resilience of these people constantly uplifts me. They are very resilient, but there is a lot of trauma, and again, the need is huge. But most of the people I work with our support and other community supports, are doing well.
So good to hear. Tom, there's a question from Griselda here this evening. How are local volunteers able to help out while staying safe from COVID-19?
Our COVID protocols are quite stringent and strong. We work in very large environments, so we are dispersed throughout the properties. We limit our volunteer groups to a certain number to keep social distancing, at the importance that it is. So the work we do is actually quite safe. It's all outdoors. So I do encourage anyone that's watching in the New South Wales area, it's very safe to volunteer, and we'd love more help if anyone's interested.
It's incredible, isn't it? And we're just revving up again for another season. So thank you so much for giving us the insight. As you'll see, there's been so much, taken in by all of us this evening. Tom there, who will be part of our evening tonight as we raise some much needed funds. All right, let's get to our third program this evening. The third program aims to address the shortage of safe accommodation for young people in the Murray Bridge area in South Australia. Ben Sari is here to tell you more. Ben, did I get your surname right?
Thanks, Jacinta, and thanks to all of you for giving some of your time tonight. Like me, most of you are probably joining tonight's event from the comfort of your own home. But what if you didn't have a home? And what if you were still just a teenager? Let me share with you some of Hayley's story. Hayley is only 16 years old. Hayley attends school and has a part-time job, but she has to use the income from her part-time job to buy food for herself and her younger siblings. Last night, Hayley slept on the couch at a friend's house. Tonight, she'll probably stay at a different friend's house. Hayley lives day to day, so she doesn't know where she'll sleep tomorrow night. She'll work that out tomorrow. Hayley is homeless. Hayley keeps in touch with her mum and on occasions stays with her, but those returns to home are short-lived before Hayley has to leave again. Hayley's mum has drug and alcohol issues. Hayley's had a really tough upbringing, which included domestic violence, and that means at just the age of 16, she's not living the life of a teenage child. Every day, Hayley has to make decisions, face challenges that no one should have to face, let alone a 16-year-old. And no 16-year-old should be homeless, should they? Now, the sad reality is that Hayley is one of nearly 200 young people who are homeless in the Murray Bridge region in South Australia. So that's 200 young people who are sleeping rough, perhaps sleeping in a car or on a friend's couch, or sleeping in some other temporary situation. And to put that number into context, that's about 1 in 9 young people aged between 15 and 21 who are experiencing homelessness. And the real challenge for these young people is there is no suitable accommodation available to them at all. And we know that for these homeless young people, that homelessness is not just the lack of housing, it affects them in many other ways as well. What we know is that homeless young people are less likely to stay at school, they're less likely to get a job, they're less likely to eat properly, they're less likely to maintain friendships. We also know that homeless young people face many, many more challenges. They're more likely to experience mental health issues, depression, perhaps substance abuse, get involved in criminal activity. And we know that if they don't receive the right amount of support now, they're more likely to face homelessness for all of their life. So quite simply, homelessness is not just about the lack of housing, it really impacts all of their life. But we can do better. We really do need to do better, and we can bring about change. And tonight I'm here to share with you an exciting new initiative that delivers a solution to the youth homelessness problem in Murray Bridge. It's called Studio Purpose. Studio Purpose, once finished, will be 4 fully furnished, self-contained units to provide accommodation to the homeless young people. But it will be far more than a welcoming space and a warm bed and a place to stay. Studio Purpose will provide safe accommodation in combination with the support services that the young people need. Studio Purpose is a partnership. Habitat for Humanity's role in the partnership is to oversee the upfront construction. We're responsible for the conversion and the full renovation of the units in order to provide the accommodation for the young people. Our project partners that we're working with will provide the case management and the valuable support services that the young people need to be the best version of themselves. Our project partners will work with the young people to focus on their health and their well-being, their education and access to training, and their connection with and participation in their local community. Studio Purpose is short-term accommodation, so our project partners will also work with the young people on their longer-term housing outcome, which ideally will be reunification with their family, but if that's not possible, we'll assist them to live independently in private rental or community or public housing. But none of this is possible at all unless we first create the space. None of it is possible until we convert 2 rundown vacant units into the 4 fully refurbished accommodation units for the young people to stay. And for that to happen, we need your help. In order to start construction and complete the first 2 units, we need to raise $100,000. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but the great news is that to date we've already raised $70,000. So what we're looking for tonight is your help to raise the next $30,000. The next $30,000 that allows us to start housing young people. Without the next $30,000, we can't turn the Studio Purpose vision into a reality. We can't start providing the accommodation and support services that these young people so desperately need. Let me take my work hat off for a moment. I'm a dad. I have 3 daughters. The eldest of my daughters will soon turn 16, the same age that Hayley is now. Many of you will know what it's like to be the parents of a 16-year-old. Many of you may be able to remember what it was like to be 16 yourselves. So I'm not standing here tonight as a representative of Habitat for Humanity asking you to support this project. I'm asking you as a dad, because I love my daughters very much and I can't imagine them not having a safe home. I can't imagine them not having a warm bed to get into every night. I can't imagine them living in a world where they don't have the love and support of my wife and I. But my heart as a father isn't just for my own children. I don't want to see any young person living in experiencing homelessness. And I believe it's part of my responsibility to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I'm asking you to share in that responsibility and to help carry that load as well, and to reach out to these vulnerable young people and provide them with a safe place to call home. So tonight, we're really seeking your help to raise the $30,000 that we need. As little as $200 will provide a solid front door that the young person can lock behind them. $600 will provide a stove and an oven so that they can cook themselves a warm meal. $800 will fully insulate each unit so that they're warm from the cold outside or cool from the heat. So please,
it seems like we sadly lost Ben to a technical snafu, but he was moments away from finishing that wonderful presentation. And again, reading the comments that come through on the chat line, it's almost as good as the presentation sometimes, the support and the kindness. Ben, you there?
Yes, I don't know what happened. I'm very sorry.
I think you are moments away from completion. Did you have something that you wanted to say just to finish it, or?
Well, I'm not too sure exactly what time I dropped out, but I was just really asking people to give generously to support. You know, as little as $200 we'll put a front door on one of these places, but please, anything that you can do to support. I really do believe that we need to be in this together to support these vulnerable young people.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I was saying, well, you were off in the void somewhere, how much people are, again, by your presentation this evening, really moved by what you have to say and really inspired by the work that you're doing. Remember, you can ask a question down in that question box, or just vote for questions that come through, something that you would like us to ask while we have this opportunity to speak to Ben. I've got just a really obvious question. Why is the project called Studio Purpose?
Sure. Look, many of us would think of studio, of course, as a style of accommodation, but for many of us, a studio is perhaps a place where an artist works, perhaps with a blank canvas or a hunk of clay or a clean manuscript, and that's where they create their work of art. And that's what we really want Studio Purpose to be for these young people. It's a fresh start, a place where they can begin anew and really create a sense of purpose for their own life.
That's a beautiful notion. What are the roles of the other project partners? Who are they, and what sort of roles do they take?
Yeah, look, we're one of 6 organisations that are part of this partnership. So our role is obviously up front in the building. AC Care and Headspace, that are both great organisations, they'll work closely with the young people. AC Care will particularly focus on their housing needs and housing needs beyond Studio Purpose. Headspace will provide some of the other support services that the young people really need. We're working with 2 levels of government. So state government are actually providing the units on a peppercorn 20-year lease into the project, and they'll also be responsible for some of the ongoing maintenance. Anglicare, really reputable organisation, will also manage the property and undertake some of the maintenance. And then local government is a key partner. They're providing some some rate and fee waivers, but they're really just invested in their local community and want to see this issue addressed.
Fantastic. A question here from Rebecca Gorman, who wants to know, firstly saying, a wonderful course, thank you. But then how many of the 200 kids would be housed in the units?
Look, there's 4 units. Each unit is essentially for an individual, but it could be a young mum with a child. So the reality is, I guess at any one time there could be up to 8 people accommodated, and it's short-term accommodation. So it's anticipated that no one will stay in there for longer than 6 months, but hopefully a shorter period before the young people can be transitioned into more permanent accommodation.
And one more question before we let you go back into the void again. This one here, will the support services for the young people continue after they leave the accommodation?
Yes, it will. So I guess as long as they're young people, as long as they're youths, they'll be supported by the other youth service providers, even when they're living independently or perhaps reunified with their family. And I guess once they get to a certain age, if they're no longer considered youths, they'll be able to access whatever other support services that they need.
Wonderful. Thank you for that presentation and for finding your way back through the technical snafu. We really appreciate your work and your presentation this evening. Thank you very much, and do read the comments because it's worth getting your eyes across those.
Thanks, Jacinta. Thanks, everyone. Have a great.
Well, 3 incredible programs, incredible stories from them, with people making a real difference in their communities. Now, let's see if this evening, by some chance, we may be able to pull together our resources and fund these incredible projects. There is something really wonderful and powerful that, even though outside, our doors at the moment, there's a whole lot going on in the world, we're able to get together this way and still find a way to ensure that the programs and the work that is being done still can be done. So this is how pledging is going to work. We're going to invite an advocate for each program up onto the screen to tell you why they support Habitat for Humanity and to kick off the pledging. Then we're going to open it up to everybody watching. So if you'd like to make a public pledge, which is pretty much how this thing rolls because it's so much fun to do it together and to feel the momentum of what it is to be a community right now, what you need to do after we've heard from the advocate is enter your name and the amount that you want to pledge in the chat box. And then I'm going to read it out, and we will tally it as we go. And I tell you, there is nothing more fun than seeing a graph bar grow. We're going to go back through the chat box if we miss any of them and make sure that everyone's pledge is counted. But I'm not bad at this. I'm pretty good. So hopefully we'll count everybody as we go. So we also are going to go through each program in the same order that they presented. So what you need to do to help us out is save a pledge until we're collecting for that particular program. And then when we're done, we'll also go back and do a second round. So you're like, oh, that's right, I have all this extra money that I forgot that I would love to pledge. You can do it during that second round as well if you've got any final amounts that you'd like to do. Just to remind you that all pledges are tax deductible. Pledges start from just $100. There is no upper limit, so don't be shy. But of course, every single dollar is so gratefully received. And, you know, it's wonderful to be doing this in any way that is possible for you. If you are shy though, and you'd prefer to give privately, you can do that absolutely. And you can make your donation online after the event. You can also text your pledge to the number that's going to be posted in the chat room. I think I can see it, 0418 861 875. But we'll get onto that. You'll see it popping in where necessary. I'm excited to announce that each program has a partner who will provide up to $10,000 in matched funding. So that means you'll see your pledge doubled on the screen. Right then, let's get started with the Nepal program. Match funding for this program will be provided through the government program Selena told us about. The advocate for this project is Israel Cooper. Good evening, Israel.
Kia ora. Hello from New Zealand. My name is Israel Cooper, and together with my wife, Jessica, we own and run Home, a construction development company here in New Zealand that builds houses for our community housing sector. As a company and as an individual, we've been supporting particularly the team in Nepal, so the Habitat for Humanity team in Nepal, for about 5 years now. And over the years, our own construction teams and myself have been to Nepal a number of times and worked on some of those programs that Selena spoke about, both in the south and the north of Nepal. Unfortunately, as a result of COVID, we haven't been able to get over there. We had a couple of trips planned this year, and unfortunately they haven't been able to take place, but we're very excited to be able to get there soon, hopefully very soon. But like many of you, however, I'm sure we've all got used to spending a lot more time in our own homes. Lockdowns across the world have meant we've all spent a lot more time in our homes. And despite the isolation, I hope for most of you, you will have appreciated the safety and security that a warm, dry, healthy home actually provides, especially in these times of crisis. But unfortunately for many in the world, and particularly in Nepal, being confined to their homes, if they had one, during lockdown was, various versions of hell, as Selena has shared. And for the lucky ones and their family, they'll be living in cold, crowded or unhealthy conditions. And for the unlucky ones, they would have been spending lockdown in tents, couches, slums, or just out in the open. So look, we are so 100% behind not only just the work that Habitat does in Nepal, but across the world. And as an organisation, and me and my wife individually, we 100% support the great work they're doing. And if ever there was a time to appreciate what many of us do not have, and that's a home, and recognise the critical importance of what others don't have, it's now. So we're going to begin by pledging $1,000, me and my wife personally, and also $1,000 our organisation home as well.
Leave you hanging there after that wonderful contribution. Thank you very much for starting the pledging for us this evening. It already looks fantastic, doesn't it? $4,000 because of that match funding. So now it's your time to get into the chat and pledge an amount for this wonderful organisation. Let's start. Richard Duncan says, nice pledge, mate. And Laura, very, very happy. Thank you. That is so great. We're pledging for Nepal, a wonderful program that we heard from earlier. Shane Nichols, $100. And I challenge anyone who has been to Nepal to match it this evening. That's a little game we like to play too sometimes. Selena saying thank you very much to Israel for starting the pledging so well. Karen Hawkins, $500. Grant Emmanuel, $1,000 already starting. Thank you very much, Grant. Actung is Achute, $500. And Neil has said, I'll match you, because obviously you've been to Nepal. Kylie Fitzgerald, $100. Ben, $100. And Natalie Fuller matching the $100 from Shane. A big gratitude as well. Olivia, $100. Already we are doing a wonderful job. Kylie, what an amazing supporter, says Nicole, and great gratitude. Valerie, good evening to you, $250. And $200 on behalf of Chris Franks this evening. Lou, $100, love Nepal. $100 from Richard Duncan. Kathy Joyce would like to pledge $200. Thank you, Kathy Joyce. Amy, $100. Thank you very much, Amy. Gamelli Consulting, a wonderful contribution of $1,000. Thank you very much for that this evening. Ross Woodward, $300. Haven't been to Nepal, but have been to India many times. So you know what? $300 is the right price for that. Paula, $100. Thank you very much. $100 on behalf of an anonymous person through Annie this evening. And this one here, great work, James. $200 from Gideon. Thank you very much. Douglas, $100. $100 from Sally Georges as well. $250. And in capital letters, says Robert McLaughlin, a wonderful cause, indeed. Dan has also said, don't worry, if I miss your pledge, we're going to make sure that it gets added to the total, which is absolutely true. Already this evening, with that match funding making it look fabulous, we've got $15,400, and it is wonderful to have your company this evening. Deborah Clark, $100 to help those I would have met in March if not for COVID. Indeed. Rob Mullally, $100. And Shan has also would like to contribute $100 this evening. $200 on behalf of Peter M. That's coming from Selena this evening. Oh no, it's from Liz. Totally wrong there for a moment. Great cause, says Emily, $250. And there as well, I love it when we get these wonderful amounts that make our head spin. Are you ready for this one? $333.33 from someone who will not put their name to it. It's a powerful number. All of those threes, surely it bodes very well, but it makes our maths very hard. We do not have a decimal system here on our graph. $17,566 is what we have already raised this evening. $100. Bronwyn said, I would have spent this in the markets if I'd been able to go in March. A worthwhile cause and a very good way to think about it this evening. The money that you have not spent could actually be spent this evening. Dan says $100 from Anonymous, and Nicole is very grateful to Bronwyn this evening. Already $17,966, which is an incredible effort this evening. Julie McDonald says $100 for the luxury of having a home. Anyone else grateful and want to join me? I think that sounds like a fairly compelling little thing that we could do there with you, Julie. $100 from Dan on behalf of Greg Stanmore. Thank you, Greg, very much. And Selena saying the number 3 symbolizes life for the Chinese. So a beautiful, very life-giving contribution before for $333.33. $100 on behalf of Kathy Saunderson as well this evening. And we are looking wonderful for our very first pledging going toward Nepal this evening. And as you heard from Selena, it's an incredible work that they do with support from the local community there. Looking for your pledges this evening, $18,566. I do love how it doubles. I do hope you are somewhere wonderful this evening, wherever you are around the world, as we heard before, or around this country. Sally Rose has said $100 to match the beautiful impact friends I'm looking forward to building with when we finally get back in the air. And of course, Israel says another $1,000 from home if someone wants to match us. That's a pretty also very compelling request there from Israel, who's already been so incredibly generous this evening. If you have a little $1,000 tucked into your back pocket that's just burning a hole right now, this would be a perfect time for you to match that this evening. $1,000. Israel is after a match of $1,000. We're waiting here with bated breath to see if you can find it in the jars, under the couch. Ali's very impressed. She says, incredible. Lara says, so generous, with exclamation marks this evening. $100 from Simon Alice, which is also very, very gratefully received this evening. Selena says, Sally Rose, we look forward to having you in Nepal, which is lovely. Achute says, I can vouch for having a small house. It gives so much comfort, security, and gratitude from disadvantaged people, especially women who have motherly responsibility. And absolutely true. And as Julie mentioned before, we are hopefully all safe in homes right now, right across the country. And it is, as my son starts to drop here in Melbourne, it is something that I do feel that gratitude and that appreciation for that is an enormous thing. And so a match for Julia, $100 to join with her this evening, perhaps if you are lucky enough to be in a nice snuggly environment right now. Are you wearing slippers is my question. I've got my favorite socks on just to fill you in on the details of this situation here. Correction for Simon Alice, it's $500 and a lot of wonderful outcome here. $20,883 for Nepal's most excluded. Raising money this evening has never been so delightful, and hopefully wherever you are, you've either got an espresso martini or a lovely coffee, or like me, a little glass of sparkling just on a Wednesday evening when we join together to do these wonderful things. It does feel like an enormous celebration. $20,883, just like that. An incredible outcome and result so far. We will definitely come back and raise more money in our second round. If you find that you might have a little bit extra or you would like to contribute some more, we are obviously enormously pleased and grateful. Now, let us raise some funds for the bushfire recovery program Tom told us about. Here to advocate is Sam Philippopoulos, whose Benevolence Financial Groups. I'm so sorry, I just lost my piece of paper there. His organisation has generously offered to match the first $10,000 raised for this important project. Good evening, Sam. Coming from the ether somewhere, about to join us this evening. Sam is joining us from the Benevolence Financial Group, to say that correctly, before we see him this evening. And if we don't get Sam coming up onto the screen really soon, I actually have his advocacy statement that I can read out. So perhaps I will read out for him this evening. Earlier this year, a few people from my company, Benevolence Financial Group, went out to the Blue Mountains to have a look at a habitat project. And there we met Fran. Now let me tell you a bit about Fran. Oh, there you are, Sam.
Hey, you did really well with the name.
About Fran, but I think you can tell us about Fran.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
And thanks for the sparkling wine, for the invite. Very excited to be here. I think especially because we got a chance to see some of the work being done, actually physically a couple of weeks ago. So with Fran as well, the story that we wanted to mention, we met Fran when we were there. And just to tell you a bit about Fran. So Fran's in her early 80s and she's just seems very soft-spoken. But when you get to speak to her, she's just full of surprises. You know, she was full of determination, full of independence, full of, energy. She already started rebuilding her home, her veggie garden. She's just incredible. With the whole story as well, with the bushfire incident that happened, she told us what happened. She was explaining to us that from a distance, she could see the fires coming in, and right behind her was her home, the home that she's lived for decades with, building it with her late husband. So it was just remarkable to see that after all the devastation, after everything that happened, she never let that get to her. And I think for all of us here today, any of us could have been Fran. We still can be Fran. And so it's significantly important for us to come and unite together to help each other and to care for each other. Just like Habitat, we strongly believe in independence. And we believe that to become independent, you need to have a home. You need to have that stability. And so for us as a social enterprise mortgage broker, we help people get really good home loans, whilst at the same time, we invest up to 50% of our profits to helping people just like Fran get to rebuild their lives again. And we call that home for a home. We're only able to do that because of people just like everyone today, people that do care about others, and that people that have deep love for people in our community and for people around us. And so with today, I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to have a huge impact, to really help someone else get to that independence. So I'm excited to start the pledge with $500 personally, and really excited to see what's going to happen the rest of the night. Thank you very much.
So good that you were able to join us, and I didn't have to play the role of Sam, because Sam plays a much better version of Sam. So nice for that energy to pop onto the screen this evening and that passion for this project. Now it's your turn. If you'd like to support this program, as we have just done, please put your name and pledge in the chat box. We are now pledging for bushfire recovery. And Nicole saying there, Sam, so love what you are doing. So great. Lot of love for Sam. Kristen Lark has kicked it all off with $150. And as we said, that match funding makes it look fantastic when it goes in there. Douglas, thank you very much. $100. Great speech, Sam. Loved it, says Monique. Mika, is that right? $100. Annie, $100 on behalf of Dave Angus. $100 also on behalf of Kathy Saunderson. Thank you, Kathy, wherever you may be. Grant Emmanuel, thank you very much for your contribution of $1,000. So great. Good one, Sam. Here's another 200, says Neil. Thank you very much, Neil Cutler, this evening. Great to have your company wherever you might be. And it is great to have your company wherever you are. I do know we've obviously got New Zealand friends and Hong Kong friends from everywhere. Already we see a wonderful total of $4,500. The wonderful disaster recovery so needed, says Ben, $100. Thank you, Ben. Campbell Ferguson, $100. Thank you very much. And Valerie, greatly appreciate $500 from you this evening. It is so much fun. How much fun is it? Typing into the chat box, $1 million. Feels good. Try that out. $100 on behalf of Greg Stanmore. Thank you very much, Greg. And Robert, I love your use of caps. So passionate. $200 for an outstanding cause. $250, did I say, from Robert McLaughlin. Good work. $200 from Alison Pryor. Love it, Alison. Thank you very much. And $800 on behalf of an amazing anonymous donor. That could be you out there. Thank you very much. That's coming through, Annie, this evening. And it is obviously incredibly wonderful. Karen Hawkins, $500. Sam, wonderful Sam, who we met before, thank goodness, and he's not just in our imagination, says, thank you all for being generous people. $100 from Ginny and Richard. Thank you, Richard, for that this evening. I love it. $9,800 already raised for the bushfire recovery. Such an important work that we heard earlier from Tom, and incredible. You know, it feels like as we sit in the comfort of our homes wherever we are, that the work that is being done in our name, you know, it's such a wonderful thing to see the people behind that work, but also to be part of the contribution to that work. $100 on behalf of another anonymous donor coming through, Annie, this evening. Lou says $200, so important to help the families affected by bushfires. Dave Angus said, well done, Tom. Looking sharp and good presentation. Nice little feedback there from Dave. $100 for the bushfire recovery this evening, which means, again, with that wonderful support of those match funding, $10,600 is where we are. Anonymous has also chipped in another $100, which has caused Dan to create a emoji to express his emotions here. Smile there. Bronwyn, I'm going to challenge anyone who was on a Zoom call today to pledge $100. I was in one yesterday, so I'll count that one. Think of the money you were saving not driving to work, not paying for public transport, and working in the comfort of your home, not to mention the fact you're not buying, you know, focaccias while you're at work at the moment. Oh, so Bronwyn has asked if you were in a Zoom to match that $100. I am into that. And Annie has got another. Well, I like this anonymous donor so much. $333 again. I think the 33 cents have been popped away, maybe put into a jar somewhere, but $333, wonderful. $100 for bushfire. Fires can affect us all. Isn't that absolutely true, Ali, as we recognise just how dire the situation is that we're currently in. Jacob, $500. Thank you very much. Nicole has said, agree, $100 for me, all the savings on transport. Not to mention those hairbrushes that we don't have to use. Oh, we do with the Zoom, don't we? We've got to brush our hair. You know, no one really knows what's happening on the second half of us, do they? The lower half of us going on. $13,066, which is very good. Achut has said $100. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your support. Great to have everybody here this evening. And we're looking good. $13,266. Selena says, we don't need trousers. Wow. We don't really, do we? Imagine all the money we've saved not buying trousers. So not only have we saved on transport, we have also saved on trousers. So you calculate that. That's just cash coming out everywhere. So if you've got a match to $100, Julie says, I'll match Bronwyn, but we'll forward challenge to anyone who says you're on mute, which I did actually start this evening on mute. So, you know, I really should participate in this. $100 if you've been on a Zoom call, it has to be you. We can't go through half an hour without a Zoom call these days. Love to hear from you. Nemo is pledging $123 for the bushfires. Love a bit of strange money. It's my favourite thing, which makes our outcome here $13,712 Brilliant. Gillian and Rob, thank you, Rob, or Gilly, I love it. $200. Gilly, it is Gilly. Goodness me, $200 this evening. Thank you very much for that. And what was it? Anyone not wearing trousers? No. Anyone who did Zoom? Neil has said, you're right, Bronwyn. Here's $100 taxi fare saving just on this evening. Had we all met at a fancy place, we would be having to get a taxi home. You can imagine it. $14,312 is a wonderful thing. If you're having trouble pledging in the chat box as well, you can text your pledge through to 0418 861 875. But how much fun is it? Just a little tippity type into that lovely little chat box environment, and we are one big happy community that are still able to give in this particular time. The question that I also have that comes from Dan is, who is Nemo? Pledging $123. Thank you, Brian. If you've got any illumination on that, of course, we are thinking it might be a fish, but I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's a wonderful contribution from someone somewhere. Again, great to have your company. $14,312 that we are raising for bushfire recovery this evening. We will come back around to each of the programs for a second round as well. So if you decide that, well, actually, there is that saving that I made with all of the things that I would have normally spent in my life while we've been in shutdown, I've saved the money, so I'll contribute it this evening. Bronwyn has made a gag, which is always welcome because it helps my pitter patter. I hope they find Nemo. Bronwyn. Julian says, I'll pledge $100 to the beautiful Annie, which is lovely. Thank you, Julian. $100 there, which makes our numbers look moderately better, but they're awfully unconventional. 14,512. Nicole, I just like the chat that goes on sometimes in these events. Nicole agrees that Annie is beautiful. I think we all agree Annie's beautiful, and it's great to have her here this evening being told via a chat box and then through me that she's beautiful. You are beautiful. And it is wonderful. 14,512. If anyone would like to do some kind of rounding up, I'm really open for that. It would be nice to finish on a kind of nice even $15,000 before we move on and then come back for our second round. Of course, we heard some wonderful stories that Tom shared with us early about bushfire recovery. It is such an enormous, enormous issue, and to hear that there are still people at this point in the year, because coronavirus, of course, has created such a challenge for teams to get in there. It's a really, really important. We'll have an opportunity to come back for a second round. Great for your contribution already, though, hitting that $14,512 mark. All right, it is time for us to now move on and see how we can support our next group. Support Ben and the team's work with vulnerable youth in South Australia. For this project, we have an anonymous donor who has kindly offered to match their first $10,000 pledge. Let's invite their advocate, Karen Eckerman, on screen to share her message of support. Good to see you, Karen. Thank you for joining us.
Hi there. Yes, hi. Look, I'm Karen. Yes, I'm a local government councillor in Murray Bridge. And like many people here, I sincerely want to see my community at its best. But there really is a crisis going on in our town that desperately needs your help. Murray Bridge has a big youth homelessness problem that you just heard about. And although many agencies and governments are really doing their best, what's needed more than anything is practical base level assistance to enable our young people time out to get on their feet. We need help to provide housing for those who just need a chance to get organised and start to thrive in their lives. I'm especially interested or impressed that this program will work to eventually move tenants into the private rental system or other accommodation more permanently, and will provide help with everyday living skills that we all need, especially young people. And I'm truly hoping too that this will be the first of many projects like this one to give our youth a serious start in life right now. So I'm kicking off with a pledge of $500 tonight for the Studio Purpose project, and I'm asking you to please join me with your support for this life-changing, ambitious project. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Lovely to see you this evening and appreciate you starting the evening so well. And of course, $1,000 is what it looks like when funding is matched the way it will be tonight. Catherine House has said everyone deserves a home, $1,000 from Catherine and Nick. Thank you very much, Catherine. And a good thank you there from Nicole as well to Karen. $100 from Charlie Kondo. Thank you very much, Charlie. Love that name. $200 from Natalie Fuller, challenging everyone who is hopping into a warm bed tonight in their own home to match you. Yes, Natalie, indeed. Douglas, $250. Thank you very much. Annie, $250 on behalf of Brian Ward. And Bob Martin has said, I'll pledge $100. Thank you, Bob, very much. Paula, $100. $300 from Rebel. I think that's how we say your name. Or Rebel, is that right? It's a beautiful name. $200 from me. Could not imagine my 16-year-old on the streets. That's from Kylie. Thank you very much. Amy, $100. Thank you very much, Amy Rodder. Good to see you here this evening. $100 on behalf of Phil and Jenny Sutherland as well. Kathy Joyce has said, I would like to put $100 in. Thank you, Kathy, very much. $100 also on behalf of Kathy Saunderson. Thanks, Kathy, says Dan. Much appreciated. $200 from Sean. Great initiative to help these vulnerable young people. It is life-changing, and indeed, it certainly is. Accepting Natalie's challenge. I love a challenge acceptor, Valerie. Good work, you. $200 from Valerie this evening. Great cause to help the young and the homeless. $250 from Emily and Andrew. Thank you very much. Richard, $100 from Richard and Ginny. Great. $1,000 on behalf of Blair, says Annie. Thank you very much. And it's already looking wonderful. $10,300 in a matter of just moments. It's an incredible way for us to join together. Ben has said $100 from me too. Dan, $100 from Anonymous. Great job, Ben. $100 from me. $1,000 from Grant Emmanuel. All of these programs are amazing. And indeed they are. And thank you, Grant, for your enormous support this evening of all three programs that we've presented this evening. A nice figure so far of $12,000, $12,900, $100 on Paul Madden. Hello, Paul Madden. Great support and generous. Thank you very much there from Nicole Stanmore. $13,100 so far is what we have raised for vulnerable youth in South Australia, and really passionate people, and wonderful to have your passion this evening too. Annie, $100 from Anon. Jason Wallace, $100 with thoughts of my two teenage kids. Indeed, thinking about that is just, you know, it's unbelievable. $250. Thanks, Karen. This is a huge issue. That's from Shane. $100 on behalf of Richard Hickling as well. Thanks, Maria, for putting that forward. $250 from Rob and Jill, or Gilly. Gil. Nice capitalisation there, Robert. Good work. $250 this evening. And our favourite anonymous contributor this evening, my favourite, $333, which is wonderful. Ali, very touched by the sentiments of being a parent that we heard earlier this evening, and has pledged $100. I want to be friends with Anon, says Dan. Another $500, please. Yes, I'm with you. $100, says Liz. Fabulous work. Lara is very happy with Ali. Yes, Ali, with an exclamation mark. Nice and easy just to get into that chat box and just write down, like, you know, the amount that you will. We appreciate every single dollar. Achute, thank you very much, dollar. Great, $100 again. Alison, $100. On behalf of Greg Stanmore, Dan is putting in an extra $100. Looking wonderful this evening, $17,366. It's what happens when we have these quirky little amounts that come through. I do believe there was a challenge earlier for anyone who was able to get into a warm bed tonight, and I know that we don't appreciate it as much as we should every single night that we're able to do that. Lou says $100, every dollar helps Absolutely it does. And a huge appreciation for your contribution this evening. Ali says, go Lou. It's really good to have you tonight. $17,566 for vulnerable youth in South Australia, in SA. And a really great show of support and passion for the projects and the work that is being done. We'd like to wish our match funding partner for this project a very happy birthday for today. We hope you've had a lovely day, and thank you so much for your generously supporting this project. And indeed, very, very grateful for the match funding that is coming through this evening. $10,000 of match funding indeed. So it's wonderful to see your funding that you put in right now is doubled when it is. Happy birthday. You are amazing, says Nicole. Todd Manor, you will see your $100 donation actually look like $200 this evening, which is great. Monique, $100 from Stu and Monique. Thank you very much for your work and your contribution, and a smiley face, which really helps everybody right now. A little bit of love going around. It's the time where we show that even though we cannot be together, that we are still a really strong community, supporting each other and ensuring that the really important projects, the programs that are going on in our name are supported. And so tonight, it's such a show of that support. $100 for homeless youth, and to thank SA for opening your borders today, the power of the collective. Well, for some of you, it is wonderful. It is very true. Having people, joining back together. Can you imagine? The country. Arvin, $100. Thank you very much. Good luck, Ben, and your team on your project. Happy birthday. Wonderful to have such generous support for this important project. And Gideon would like to contribute $100. We are looking fabulous this evening. $18,566 is what we are raising this evening so far. If you have more, if you've got some matched funding that you'd like to throw down, Meredith says, I'll match Arvin's $100. Thank you very much, Meredith, this evening. And for everybody, Annie, $500 on behalf of Genevieve Utley, or Utley, I would say, is probably how it is. I apologise. Or it could be Genevieve, but Genevieve is the name that's there. $500, $19,766 is a wonderful number. Julie, happy for you to come over and lend a volunteer hand with the building of Studio Purpose. Of course, that's another part of this as well, volunteering and physically, when we can, providing the support that is required. $19,766. If we have a couple of $100 matches or something like that this evening, then that figure will be beautifully matched by the very generous donation of $10,000 that is being put on the table this evening. An incredible collective effort already, and wonderful. Karen saying, wow, thank you all so much. And indeed, it is just so exciting, just so quickly, with all of us working together, that this sort of outcome can happen. 19,766. Do we want to kind of like edge it into somewhere with a number? It's all numbers, isn't it? It's not real money. It's just figures. So $19,766. Can we get this to $20,000 is the question. OCD folk hate numbers like this. In fact, I think I might be one of them. Dan says $100 on behalf of Peter Dungy. That's taking us to an interesting figure. So if anyone wants to do something special with that to make it just all beautiful and round, that would be greatly appreciated this evening. $19,966. It does look lovely though, and it is an incredible amount of money that has been raised by you this evening, and it is going to be very exciting when we wrap this and we're able to present the money to the people that have worked hard and will continue to work hard in our name for the sorts of incredible contribution that they make. $19,966 for the first round for Vulnerable Youth SA. And the incredible work, this one, $100, $33 from Anon, and that's serious. And that is beautiful. Philip Curtis says, hi, Ben, $250 from Jenny and me. That's from Phil. And so that is lovely. We go to $20,266. I love it. Thank you very, very much. And a wonderful way for us to get our first round underway. Incredible to see the amount of money that we've been able to raise in just like a very short amount of time. The question that I have for you though is for us to have a quick look at where each of the organizations are right now. $20,883 for Nepal's most excluded. Bushfire Recovery New South Wales, $14,512. And for the vulnerable youth, which we were just talking about and raising money for just then, SA, $20,266. In the space of this amount of time, we have raised $55,661. Jason says what I want to say. Wow, fantastic generosity that will make an enormous difference. Wow, wonderful achievement, everyone. What we do at this point, though, now that we have the full breadth of the experience and we know exactly where we've put our money and how this has gone, we might do one more round for each of these incredible programs. What we'll do as well is we will go through each of them as we did it in the first round, and just a nice little quick final moment for you to offer any further support if you have it. Let's begin with Nepal, the Nepal's Most Excluded program that we heard at the very start of this evening. And if you've got any extra contribution that you would like to make, we would love to add it to that total before we bring back our wonderful presenters this evening. And yes, indeed, it has just been such a great evening. $20,883, $83 from Anon. You know I love the quirky numbers. Fantastic. Thank you, Dan, for being in charge of that, which has taken us to an interesting number, $20,966. If you've got an extra contribution, $37 from Anon. I love all these anonymous contributors this evening. I have been to Nepal, $100, says Ali, and I know that was a little challenge from earlier as well. If you've been to Nepal, $100, you know, just to $200 from Old Mate. Thanks, Edward. And I appreciate you writing that so I could say $200 from Old Mate. Thank you. That was joyful. Annie has got another wonderful $33 from our very favourite anonymous contributor this evening. Very Old Mate, says Selena. It's getting rouge. $40 more from an anonymous contributor this evening from Dan. Thank you very much. Jacob, thank you. $500 there at this last little round for Nepal. We've got our wonderful contribution tonight to $876. Give it a few more moments if you've got anything that you would like to contribute to the wonderful program. Ross Woodward, another $100 for a great cause. Ross, thank you very much. $33 from Anon again. I love it. Just little moments and beautiful number. Thank you very much. And Selena is saying, thank you, Jacob. $83 on behalf of Anne Fussell. Love it, Anne. $83. Yes, wonderful. Taking us to $22,092. Dan says, we love you, Anne. And great to have you here and represented by Annie this evening. It was a lot of compliments for you tonight, Annie. You had a great night there, didn't you? $100 from Makala Schofield as well, and $500. Paul Malroney, thank you very much. $17 on behalf of Peggy Goldsmith. Thank you very much, Peggy. What a great name you have. $17, which takes us to $22,709. An incredible amount of money raised this evening. I feel like we're done. That feels like a wonderful contribution and collective effort this evening. Selena says, thank you, Peggy. Although, hang on, $83 from Duncan West before we're all done and dusted there this evening. Thank you, Annie, for looking after all of that this evening. Okay, let's now move to Bushfire Recovery New South Wales. And it's shocking, isn't it, to think that we are rolling into our next bushfire season, and it must be absolutely frightening for families and people who are still looking to resolve some of the incredible trauma that happened from those bushfires from December and January, and then moving into a global pandemic. You just can't imagine the level of complexity that brings to your life and challenge. So if you have some extra contribution that you might like to make to that this evening, we would be utterly grateful for you to do that. 14,512 is currently where we are. Lara, thank you very much. $100 for an incredible program, and an incredible program it is. $200. Thank you, Michelle, very much. That's from Michelle and Anthony, and greatly received this evening. 15,112, I think, with my eyes that are starting to fade on me. Great to see that. So just get a little email there. Following Lara, $100 from me too. That's from Kylie Fitzgerald. Very good. Thank you so much. $33 from Anonymous this evening, going through Annie, and $25 from David Ashton. Thank you very much for those contributions. That Lara says, thank you, Kylie. Much appreciated. Lots of appreciation for the support that is being had for bushfire recovery in New South Wales. 15,428 is an incredible contribution. We know that we can do more with more. So if there's any more that you would like to contribute, now is the time. And again, greatly appreciated. Annie, $100 on behalf of Duncan West. $73 from an anonymous contributor through Dan this evening. Some wonderful amounts that I bet have been collected in a jar somewhere, hopefully, and it's greatly, greatly received. Thank you very much for that this evening's $15,774. And in a moment, we will say thank you for that amount. So if you have anything, now is the time. $17. Thank you very much, Peggy Goldsmith, for your wonderful contribution again. $17 there from Peggy. Of course, we have $10,000 of match funding. So still, if you have some money that you are able to contribute, it will be doubled. And it is wonderful to say thank you very much to Paul Mulroney, $2,000 for bushfire recovery, which changes everything. I mean, that becomes then a $4,000 contribution. So thank you very much, Paul. $30 from Katie. Thank you, Katie. $100 from Tom. Vanessa says, amazing work you all do. $100. Another $83 on behalf of Anne. Thank you, Anne Fussell. $100 from Paula. Thank you very much. $100 from Megan. Megan Sinclair there. I can see your smiley face. You're not a little robot avatar. And Sally saying, this is so fantastic. What an incredible outcome, just suddenly like that. $20,417 there being raised for bushfire recovery, and the incredible work being done to ensure that families are not left forgotten at this time when we just need to get these things resolved. Wonderful. $50. Thank you, Arvin Chetty. What a great name is Arvin Chetty. I love it. $50. Thank you very much for your contribution. $37 on behalf of Von Bromelau. Thank you very much, Von, as well. Another great name, $37. And that takes us to $20,504. Incredible. It feels so good. We have got now a grand total of $63,562 raised for the incredible work that these projects are doing. Lou says $200. The scale of the bushfires has been so big, both money and volunteers are so necessary. And Ali saying, wow, Arvin, so great. Thank you very much. Though that takes us to a wonderful total of $20,704. Incredible. And we know from what we heard earlier this evening that that is going to do some wonderful, wonderful work. $100 from Michaela Schofield, greatly appreciated. If you have some more at this point, we're at $20,804. You know, we feel weird about those numbers, but we're very, very, very grateful for the contribution and the way that we've been able to raise money this evening. Thank you very much. $50 from Mika, or Mika, I think it's Mika. $50. Thank you very much. Very greatly appreciated. $20,854 is certainly a wonderful time to spend with each other, isn't it? That you're able to raise that amount of money. So let's move on to our final charity for the final round this evening. Again, how nice is it to hang out in the comfort of our own homes with our warm slippers on, knowing that we have a warm bed to go to this evening and to do this sort of stuff with each other. It is something we should feel so proud of. Hazel saying, love this generosity. And indeed, it is just so heartwarming, even though we're not together, that there is a sense of community and connection and care for the people in our lives. So for our final round, Vulnerable Youth South Australia, we're raising money for them this evening. If you have some extra dollars in your jar, in your pocket, under the couch, it would be wonderful in this final little round for us to put that on that tally, and it will be exciting to share it with our wonderful presenters this evening, people who work tirelessly in the work to help other people. And it's just this small contribution that just goes a very, very long way. $20,266 is what we have raised for Vulnerable Youth South Australia. If you have a couple of extra dollars, I'm ready to read it out. I want to say old mate again, if that's possible. $100 from Michaela Schofield. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much, Michaela. It's great to have that contribution. Thank you very much for it this evening and for all the contributions that you've made. That's come through Dan as well, who's doing a great job putting all these amounts into our chat box this evening, along with Annie, doing a really good job. Thank you very much for your work. Vulnerable Youth South Australia, $100 on behalf of Duncan West. Thank you, Duncan, says Annie, very much so. $20,466. It's wonderful. And again, the grand total of $64,112 has been raised. Oh, how good. This is where I start to, have another little sip of the champagne. If you're drinking a champagne anywhere, I think you need to, match something. $83 on behalf of Anne Fussell. Thank you very much, Anne, for that. Great to have your contribution again. Lots of exclamation marks going on this evening. $20,000. I think it's $549. It's a little blurry there. I think it's $549. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful amount of money that has come for our programs this evening. Congratulations. $50 from Bob. I love Bob. You just wait for the last little minute and you're like, all right. $50 from Bob. Greatly appreciated, Bob Martin. Very much so. And again, that puts us into an uncomfortable but wonderful, oh, this could help. Another $16. Thank you, Peggy Goldsmith. $16 very much for your contribution in that second round. $20,615. I can read that. And again, a total raised this evening of $64,261 is nothing to sneeze at, and do not sneeze in this current climate. Keep your health or go and get tested, as they say. $64,261. Paul Mulroney as well, $500 for Vulnerable Youth, which is fantastic. And our amazing match funder has agreed to give another $14,000. Is that happening? Oh, hang on. Annie says, excited for the typos. Hang on. Is that correct though, Annie? The silence is killing us all, that we are unsure as to whether that is $14,000. I think it must be, which means that has gone to $35,150. $50 from Joe. Thank you very much. It's happened. Wow. Where does the $40,000 go? That's the question. To studio purpose is the answer, which is where it has gone right now. Ben, wow. Thanks, match donor. Speechless, as am I, trying to work out what's happening. I love being I feel like I'm the puppet here with everybody, telling everybody stories. Ben is very happy. And of course, we are awfully speechless to be sitting here and looking at that incredible amount, $35,165. This is where we need to have a sip of champagne, don't we? Incredible. That means our grand total of $78,811 is what we land on. Is that right? Incredible. That's fantastic. The project can start now, says Shane. And I know that is just like a huge relief for so many people. 30,000, I know, was the goal. $35,165,000. Oh, what an amazing night. I've got goosebumps again. It happens every single time that we get together and share in this thing. Jason saying, gosh, that's incredible. Karen with some joyful love heart eyes going on. What this shows us is the power of what we can do together. And as again, we are here in our homes in the comfort of our world. Robert's gone caps again for us, though. I must mention that wonderful news. Well done, everyone. Jason should have had some sparkling wine as well. Who's feeling the warm and fuzzies? We all are. What we should do is ask Nicole to come back and share with us what kind of impact this will have on Habitat for Humanity and these 3 important projects. I can't wait for Nicole to come. She's making her way.
This is amazing. Thank you so much. I've got goosebumps all over. This is so much more than we expected. Thank you. I mean, it's a privilege to help one person, but here you are, all of you. You've helped so many. We just can't thank you enough. This will have ripples into the future. You're not just helping that one person that will get into a home, but probably their children and even their grandchildren. Thank you. A special thank you to Benevolent Financial Group and to our anonymous donor whose birthday is today. So happy birthday wishes from all of us. Thank you. Amazing.
It's just so nice to see your joyful face and to reiterate just how much this is going to do. Congratulations and thank you to everybody. Richard, of course, saying well done, Team Habitat for Humanity Australia. Hong Kong has said it's a bit early for champagne in the office here in Hong Kong, but sending lots of cheer to the Habitat Australia team and lots of thanks for the generous donors today. It is so wonderful to have this outcome this evening. What you can do now is hop on over to Habitat for Humanity's donation page to fulfill your pledge at the URL listed on the screen. You can see it there. Look for a link also in the chat box. It's just popped up there. Dan's put it up there. It's in a beautiful red type, so you can see it nice and easily, or you can actually wait till tomorrow, but get onto it now. If you need to, though, tomorrow, keep an eye out for an email detailing how you can pay. We're also going to send you a link to tonight's stream so you can share it with your network and encourage others to support Habitat for Humanity after. The team at Habitat for Humanity will be updating you on the impact of your support over the coming weeks and months. Dan has said we're going to keep our donations page up and running for the next 2 weeks and look forward to sharing how much we were able to raise together. It's so good. Easiest fundraiser ever, says beats holding a sausage sizzle, but that just made me want to eat a sausage. Thank you again to our match funding partners. Happy birthday to our anonymous funder this evening. What an incredible contribution you have all made. Until we meet again, thank you for your time, your generosity and your support, and for joining together and showing what a community can do. Even in the most outrageously difficult times of a global pandemic, what's important is that we work together to ensure that work is getting done in the most important ways. Please stay safe and have a great evening, and thank you so much for joining us here tonight.